In the dead of night, June 1st, 2025, sirens shattered the silence over Russia. From the icy forests of the Kola Peninsula to the vast Siberian plains, eyes turned upwards to witness a chilling invasion. Ukrainian drones slicing through the darkness. But here's the twist. These intruders weren't crossing borders. They were already inside, swarming deep within Russia's most secure airspace. Their target? Russia's pride. Nuclear-capable bombers, the terrifying giants that had rained destruction on Ukraine for months. This was Operation Spiderweb, over 100 drones executing the largest ever strike on Russia's strategic bomber fleet. Within minutes, airfields believed invincible erupted in chaos. Olenya in the Arctic North, Belaya in distant Siberia, bases that had seemed untouchable now spiraled into flames. Fuel trucks exploded, aircraft combusted, and a prized A-50 early warning plane became a burning wreck. Personnel watched helplessly as precision kamikaze drones obliterated their strategic power. Dawn revealed towering plumes of black smoke marking a new chapter of warfare. For Russia, a nation that struck safely from afar, the unthinkable had become reality. But how did Ukraine pull off such an audacious strike? Stay tuned, because what happened next changed everything. How could Ukraine strike 5,000 kilometers into Russian territory, far beyond the range of any known weapon? The answer lay in an ingenious strategy months in the making. Operation Pavutina, Ukrainian for Spiderweb, was orchestrated by Ukraine's security service, SBU, and took 18 months of clandestine preparation. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his inner circle, supervised the plan personally, keeping it secret even as they publicly hinted that Ukraine would soon answer Russia's terror symmetrically. The stakes were enormous. Russia's strategic bombers, including Tu-95 Bear and Tu-160 Blackjack planes capable of carrying nuclear-tipped cruise missiles, were the linchpin of Moscow's long-range threat. Eliminating these high-value assets would not only avenge past air raids on Ukrainian cities, but also blunt Russia's ability to strike Ukraine again from sanctuary. Ukrainian military strategists understood they couldn't reach these bombers with conventional missiles or aircraft. Instead, they embraced drone warfare in a way the world had never seen. Tiny first-person view FPV kamikaze drones, each no larger than a hobbyist racing drone, were chosen as the weapon of choice. These drones would be ineffective from Ukraine's territory, but utterly devastating if launched from right next to the Russian bases. Thus was born the idea of a Trojan horse approach, sneaking the drones into Russia and launching them on site. Artificial intelligence became a critical tool in planning. In a secret facility in Poltava, Ukraine, ironically home to an aviation museum, engineers trained the drones targeting software using machine learning. They showed the drones mock-ups and images of Russian bombers, teaching the AI to recognize the silhouette of a Tu-95's swept wings or a Tu-22M3's distinctive nose. By the end, these machines knew their targets. They would dive onto aircraft fuel tanks or munitions for maximum destruction, rather than just randomly striking the airframes. This fusion of AI and drone tech gave Ukraine a precision edge that surprised even seasoned observers. But the boldest aspect of Operation Spiderweb was human. A network of Ukrainian operatives and sympathetic Russian volunteers operating under the nose of the FSB, Russia's security service. According to President Zelensky, an entire covert field office for the operation was established inside Russia, located right next door to an FSB headquarters in one region. An ironic twist that he revealed with evident satisfaction after the fact. Over a year and a half, Ukrainian special services covertly smuggled hundreds of drones, in disassembled form, into Russia, piece by piece. They also moved in the equipment to launch them, wooden crates and metal containers that would serve as makeshift drone hangars. These caches were hidden in safe houses and warehouses across at least 3 different time zones in Russia. Every detail was meticulously planned, from securing fuel and batteries for the drones to establishing secure communications that the Russian authorities wouldn't detect. On the night of the attack, Operation Spiderweb unfolded like a synchronized dance of saboteurs. In the hours before the strike, specially modified trucks began rolling toward their pre-assigned launch positions near the Russian bomber base. These were ordinary-looking semi-trailers on the outside, but inside each carried a deadly secret. Under retractable roofs were racks of armed drones, dozens of them, waiting for the signal to take off. As these Trojan trucks parked quietly just miles from the sleeping airfields, Russian guards saw nothing amiss. Some of the vehicles may have even been parked on public roads or lots just outside base perimeters, hiding in plain sight. When the synchronized go signal came in the pre-dawn darkness, 117 drones sprang to life almost simultaneously. The roofs of the trailers slid open remotely, and the small quadcopters shot out into the night sky one after another. Each drone was piloted by a dedicated operator, 117 operators in all, many likely working remotely via satellite link from Ukraine or from the covert Russian field office nearby. Using video goggles, these operators steered the drones at treetop level toward the silhouettes of bomber aircraft visible on the aprons. The drones had been positioned so close that they appeared on the base's radars, if at all, only at the last few seconds. By then it was too late. At Olenya Air Base in Murmansk Oblast, near the Arctic Circle, base personnel barely had time to react as drones buzzed over fences and slammed into the hulking Tu-95 bombers on the tarmac. The Irkutsk regional governor, Igor Kobzev, later confirmed drones hit there as well, and even posted photos of a charred truck, admitting that the drones indeed flew out of a haulage truck near the base. It was the first drone attack on Siberian soil since the war began, and it hit its mark spectacularly. Simultaneous blasts rocked at least 4 other sites that morning. In the Ryazan region southeast of Moscow, residents near Diaghilevo Airfield, a known bomber base, reported distant explosions. The same base had been struck by Ukrainian drones once before, but never in conjunction with attacks so widespread. Near Ivanovo, northeast of Moscow, unconfirmed reports spoke of drones and fires at an airfield that houses strategic transport planes. In the Moscow region, eyewitnesses in Voskresensk saw or heard something streak overhead, and at Engels Air Base in Saratov, home to Russia's nuclear-capable Tu-160 and Tu-95 fleet, alarms sounded yet again, months after previous Ukrainian strikes there. By sunrise, smoke was seen billowing from multiple sites, though local authorities around Moscow and Saratov remained silent or denied anything significant happened. The ministry had to admit that at several airfields, a few units of aviation equipment caught fire. A markedly vague description of what independent satellite photos would soon reveal as smoldering bomber wrecks. In truth, the drones achieved surprise at a scale Russia simply had not anticipated. Conventional surface-to-air missiles like the S-400 are designed to engage jets or larger cruise missiles coming from hundreds of kilometers away, not swarms of tiny FPV drones popping up directly overhead. It was modern asymmetrical warfare in action. Inexpensive drones defeating billion-ruble defenses and aircraft in one fell swoop. Daylight brought clearer assessment of the damage, and with it, shock and elation in Ukraine, and anger and disbelief in Russia. Ukrainian intelligence sources exulted that the operation took out over 40 Russian military aircraft. If true, this would be a catastrophic blow. Roughly 34% of Russia's entire fleet of strategic bombers was now out of commission. These included multiple Tu-95 Bear bombers and Tu-22M3 backfire bombers, confirmed destroyed, and possibly even an A-50U mainstay airborne early warning plane that was caught in the drone onslaught. Russian authorities responded with a mix of crackdowns and symbolic moves. Security around military bases across the country was urgently tightened. Suddenly, sandbag walls and anti-drone jamming guns appeared around bomber airfields that for months had operated with peacetime laxity. If Operation Spiderweb proved anything, it was that Russia's vast geography, once thought to be a protective buffer, had become a playground for Ukrainian special ops. The sheer scale and audacity of Ukraine's drone offensive sent shockwaves far beyond the two countries. International law and ethical debates also flared. Russia loudly protested to the United Nations, calling the drone strikes a heinous act of aggression, and claiming Ukraine had targeted strategic bombers that were only on standby, not actively bombing at that moment, a claim met with skepticism. The Ukrainian government retorted that any military target used to attack Ukrainian civilians is fair game under the right of self-defense. Many neutral countries quietly agreed with Ukraine's logic, even if uneasy about the precedent of a smaller nation taking the war so deep into a larger one's territory. Was it a dangerous escalation or a justified countermeasure to stop the bombardment of Ukrainian cities? The answer, perhaps, was both. As one NATO official put it, "We're in new territory here. These drones have erased the traditional front line. It's 21st century warfare, and it's not going to go back to how it was." Beyond the immediate strategic results, Operation Spiderweb may be remembered as a turning point in modern warfare. Traditional doctrines which rely on deterrence through big weapons and heavily defended bases suddenly look more vulnerable. As a U.S. Air Force general commented, "The era of the bomber always getting through may be over. Now it's the era of the drone that gets through." Ukraine's tactics are likely to be studied by militaries globally, and we may see a rapid evolution in both counter-drone defenses and copycat offensive strategies in response. The psychological impact of Spiderweb is equally significant. This was as much a psychological operation as a kinetic one. Ukraine showed Russia's leadership and populace that the war can reach them anywhere, even 4,500 kilometers from the front lines. In the aftermath, there is no clear end in sight to the war, but there is a sense that something fundamental has shifted. The spider's web has been cast wide, and the mighty bear found itself entangled. As emergency crews doused the last fires on those distant runways, and charred bombers were towed away, a new paradigm emerged. In this conflict, and perhaps in wars to come, dominance will belong not just to the big arsenals, but to the bold and the innovative. Ukraine's drone offensive on June 1st, 2025, will be remembered as a turning point, one that left the Kremlin reeling and the world contemplating the new face of warfare. The echo of those air raid sirens over Russia may well ring on into the future, a stark warning of how the old rules of war have been forever changed. Ukraine's drone strike, Operation Spiderweb, didn't just hit aircraft, it shattered illusions. War has evolved, and the world is watching closely. If you found this story gripping, hit the like button, share it widely, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Stay informed, stay connected.